What do you do for a living?
I, sir? I am a member of the theatrical profession.
I knew it. I knew it. As soon as I saw you trolling down the gangway, I said to myself, I said, Peregrine, I said. Now, there's an old pro if ever I saw one.
I am a comedian.
Really? Are you on that programme, you know, with all those others?
I'm not, no. My jokes are, but I'm not.
What's your name?
Dawson. Les Dawson.
I've never heard on you.
Sissy, don't loot.
What are you playing?
Don't loot.
You're great. I think I can't see the lists.
I tried to spare you this.
Oh, yes, I know you did, love.
I say it's disgusting.
Oh, it's positively disgraceful, yes. I wonder who sculpted it.
I don't know, but it certainly wasn't short of clay.
As a comedian, his greatest assets were probably his face. His face, his love of language, and the fact that he was, by nature, a droll.
My act is to the cultural heritage of this country what Julie Andrews is to Deep Throat.
Well, he had a wonderful style with him, didn't he? There were only about half a dozen, I think, in the history of English stand-up comics who had that feeling about them. They just had a style that was so individual that you only had to hear a second of them and you knew who it was.
As we're all painfully aware, this great nation of ours is going through a very severe economic depression. Not that the depression bothers me, because I was a failure during the boom.
He had that repose. The nerves of comedians and the worries and the neuroses are manifest, and it's all going on inside. But the great ones just have this complete at-ease air with an audience, and Les had it.
On top of all this, I had a terrifying experience the other night. I was just pushing the car back in the garage, and a flying saucer landed on the front garden. And a thing like a 6-foot sponge pudding got out. Pair of legs, 7 arms, and eyes like chapel-hat pegs. I wasn't frightened because I'd just been to the wife's mother. Stood like that. I said, "Are you from the moon?" He said, "No." I said, "Are you from Mars?" He said, "No." I said, "Where are you from?" He said, "Jupiter." I said, "How long have you been travelling?" He said, 15 million light years. I said, "Have you been stuck in that flying saucer all this time?" He said, "Yes." I said, "What do you want?" He said, "Can I use your toilet?"
He broadened the character. Instead of saying a man walked down a road or a man walked into a pub or something, he would give the character, he would dress the character, he would have clothes, he would have a certain different head or a face or a hat, or he spoke in certain ways, or he didn't have his teeth in, or, you know, there was a whole moulded character there where you could have got away by just saying this man walked into a barn.
It's a couple who got married in a lonely part of Cumbria. And she said, "Arthur, I'm very shy. Blow the candle out." He said, "All right, love." He said, "I can't believe it. I should give it to me." She said, "I can't believe it. I can't. You can't believe that." I know. She said, "My mother's downstairs." He said, "Well, send for your mother." "All right." Mother? Mother said.
Les had this sort of lovely squashed up face. I think he was in a fight a few times. I read somewhere that his jaw was broken, I think, and it certainly stood him in good stead. He had a lovely comedian's, a gargoyle's face.
I can't blow it out. I can't. It's ridiculous. Well, you go downstairs anyway. Said, "Your father's downstairs." "Well, so who's my father?" "Yes, father."
If you say to someone, "Be funny," yeah, here's somebody, "Be funny," most people will go, "Hmm." pull funny faces. That's the basic building block of most comedy, is to twist the world out of shape. Aristotle said that the essence of the comic was a buckled mill wheel. In other words, the world out of shape.
The figure said, "What seems to be amiss?" Father said, "I tried to blow the candle up, I can't do it. I had trouble with my apoplectic." I can't do it. So I tried it. I said to him, "Father, nothing, no." He said, "Allow me." And in the darkness, a voice said, "It's bloody marvellous what education can do for you."
I think what made Les great was his upbringing in those early days. It fashioned him, the hardship. He was born in Collyhurst in 1931, and that was a slum area. He lived in a 2 up and 2 down, which is amazing, because there were 6 of them in the family. 2 bedrooms and 6 people. 5 of those people were adults. His mum and dad, his mother's mum and dad, and his Uncle Tom and Les. How they organised the sleeping arrangements, I do not know.
You can tell how poor we were. Up to the age of 15, I thought knives and forks were jewellery.
The first time I met Les Dawson was at a club in Manchester. It was a club so famous I couldn't even take you to where it was. Jim Casey, the then comedy producer on radio in Manchester, had received a letter from Les Dawson. He'd been so impressed by this man's wit on paper. He'd said, "Please come and see me. I've just returned to this country from a tour of the African rainforests with Martha Haggerty's Trombone Dwarfs." That made Jim Casey laugh. And he said to me, "Anybody who can write a letter like that and make me laugh, and I've never heard of him, must be worth going to see." We went to see him in this dreadful club in Manchester, and he died.
Well, they're pretty hard, some of those clubs in the north, If they like you up, they don't clap, they let you live. I played one the other week. It was called the Copacabana Tropicana Club, Scunthorpe. It was under a viaduct in a blouse factory. You can tell the sort of place it was. They had a bouncer on the door throwing the drunks in. Well, what an audience. They were undertakers. That was bad enough. They had the clients with them.
It's interesting that he always said that the Damascus Road in his career was off Hessel Road in Hull. The famous night at the Fisherman's Club.
They virtually came straight from the trawler with barbs and salt caked on their faces, with a sock full of money. They sat down and they drank to oblivion. It got to the Thursday and I couldn't face this anymore. So I went to a pub in the land of green ginger and got stoned. And I went back and I couldn't get off the piano. So this makeshift curtain opened and I was on this podium. So I said, it's a great pleasure for me to be in this superbly decorated kipper factory, which they just spent 20,000 quid on. And suddenly I was getting laughs.
Yes.
Oddly enough, I seem to have found a style.
I think he discovered that the way to an audience's heart is to tell the truth and not try to fool them. And whatever Les was doing, he was actually always telling us the truth, whether we realised it or not.
A fellow once said to me, quite candidly, he said, "I watched your act," he said, "from back at snooker table." He said, "Are you approachable?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Would you mind a word of constructive criticism?" I said, "Not at all." He said, "Well, I think you're crap."
He said a very interesting thing to me once. He said, if my television career stopped, I would never go back to the clubs. And I said, "Why not?" And he said they're just the hardest work, those audiences. He said, "I wouldn't want to face them again." And I thought it was very interesting.
Excuse me, miss, could you tell me where we are?
Just passing over Luton.
Oh, that's all right then. I've never gone well there.
I can never forget it. It was in Manchester, downstairs on a wet, cold and miserable morning, a Sunday morning.
I walk into a grimy hall in Deansgate. It was a dreadful place, it really was. You could tell how dirty it was. Vandals were breaking in and decorating it. I saw this grey old fox with all his coterie around him, and I remember as best I can the audition. I sang and played the piano and got a few laughs, especially when I sang and played the piano.
So I said, can we have Mr. Les Dawson? And the road manager says to me, well, Mr. Dawson wants a piano. I thought, oh, blimey, he's one of those actors, you see.
It was my last final fling at show business. I must admit, at those years, things were going pretty bad. In fact, my career was going downhill faster than a rabbit with a promise.
We were in hysterics on this cold, miserable, wet morning, and on my report form, I wrote, yes, must.
When he woke up after the audition, I said, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I said, I'm very grateful, because I said, you know, there's not many opportunities these days for comedians. He said, there you go again, Les, worrying about other people.
I took him to one side. I said, it's not according to the rules to tell you that you've passed. I said, we usually say, thank you very much, we'll let you know. But I said, I understand that your wife said that this was going to be the last audition that you attended, and if you didn't get by this, you were going to have to go back and be a vacuum cleaner salesman. I said, you go home and tell your wife that you're never going to be a vacuum cleaner salesman again, as far as Huey Green and Opportunity Knocks are concerned. In a few weeks' time, you'll be going on.
There's something nasty in the castle yard. We know what it is and who did it. But for God's sake, tell us where it is.
The piano was perfect as a prop for Les. He needed a big prop. An upright piano would have been no good. It had to be a concert grand, you see, because it was the lugubrious slob, I suppose, and the classic instrument.
Les obviously could play the piano. Oh, yes, he could play the piano very well, and therefore he was able to burlesque it. He was able to clown it. I think you've got to be able to do something really well before you can clown with it.
That's it.
When he played the piano, when he would play one note just very slightly off key, it was quite brilliant in that, because you weren't quite sure whether it was your ear that had gone or his fingers.
That's it. Through all kinds of weather. Every year for the last 7 years, the wife's mother's been to our house for Christmas. This year we had a chain who let her in. Purely in the spirit of mischief. I ran out the back door, went up behind her and went, boo! She said, you fat fool, and nearly dropped dead, so went, boo, boo, boo! What a woman. I haven't spoken to her for 5 years. It's not that we fell out, it's just that I'm not quick enough to interrupt.
I wouldn't consider a mother-in-law joke a bad joke. I wouldn't consider many jokes bad jokes. I mean, it all depends on, you know, how tasteless you are with the joke. And I think, again, with Leslie, there was a form of affection. The character was there. The character had been developed as the mother-in-law, and the brunt of the joke, in a way, the end of the gag, was the mother-in-law. But I don't think there was. I wouldn't have thought, if Leslie's mother-in-law listened to it, that she'd probably have taken a great deal of pride in it.
Ever since the dawn of time, when the first anema of life stretched from the primeval swamps and built up the society we have today, the one dominant factor became, well, realism was that crossroads would never last, but it did. But beyond that is the mother-in-law, the central pivot of the whole hierarchy of the family structure.
She said, "You sicken me." She said, "But I'll have the last laugh. Because one day I'll dance on your grave." I said, "Up to God you do, I'm going to be buried at sea."
The mother-in-law syndrome exists throughout all classes. Let's make no mistake. The point is that if you have money and you can afford a place of your own, then you're not on top of the problem. With northern people, you were there, you were part of it because you had to live with them. You hadn't got the money to move anywhere else.
She's eating me out of house and home. I've never known a woman eat so fast. You've got racing colours on a knife and fork. She sits at the table with her elbows in starting blocks.
He decided, I suppose, to attack his wife and mother-in-law and wage war against them, and this worked for him. It would not have worked for everybody, but his lines were just brilliant. They were surreal lines, really. The doorbell went.
I knew it was her because all the mice were throwing themselves on the traps.
That's a great line. It's a picture postcard in your mind. He created mental pictures all the time. I won't say the wife's ugly, but when she puts on makeup, the lipstick backs into the tube. Great pictures, great pictures. And he was different, he was unique, but he was a product of his background and the people who influenced him.
I'll bet you're a hot un.
Frank Randall had a tremendous influence on him. Frank Randall wasn't as well known in the south of England. He didn't travel. But in the north, I have to say this man was king and a very funny man.
Give us a kiss. No. Oh, God. No. Give up. I shall thrash you. No.
Where's the trumpet?
What came out in Les from Randall's influence was this sort of Blackpool postcard character, Cosmo Smallpiece.
Hello, kiddies. It's Uncle Cosmo again. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. Do you know the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears? It's a nice story, isn't it? All about a little girl who went to the house of the three bears when they were out, and she ate all their porridge, and she lay in all their beds. I expect she took some porridge to bed with her, don't you? She lay there in bed and had her oats. I won't be oats in there. As a matter of fact, I won't be oats anyway. And I'm oats in a sack of spanners because it's been a very rough year. I'm not copying for nothing.
I think there's quite a lot of anarchy in every comic. Oh yes, I think there's a little devil inside you, and sometimes that little devil is can be quite basic. So a lot of the and sometimes quite sexy. I old fettle thee. I think really the sexy drive, which could be interpreted as being perhaps a little bit. Maybe a little bit lecherous. I think it's in every comic. I think that's part of the life force. When that light goes out, I think then his days are numbered as a comic. His probably days as a human being, his days as a man are probably numbered as well. Because when that light goes out, there's nothing very much left. No, Les was sexy and earthy to the very last. Definitely in the tradition of all the great jesters and clowns and comedians.
He admired Norman Evans particularly. Norman Evans was a great performer. His female impersonation of Fanny Fairbottom was a very identifiable character. I knew lots of Fanny Fairbottoms when I was a kid, you know. I can remember when my tennis ball went into gardens alongside my house. It was a Norman Evans type character who always came out as though there was a sensor on the lawn, and as soon as the tennis ball landed, they opened the door, grabbed it and said, "You're not getting it back till tomorrow."
I didn't throw that ball, it was all
our Willie. Your Willie, was it? I'll paralyse him. What do you want? Get inside, both of you, and put something on. Messing about. Willie! Come here!
He was very influenced by Norman Evans, but of course he didn't steal Norman Evans's act when he created Sissy and Ada. I'm sure he thought of Norman Evans every time he put the frock on. But whereas Norman Evans was this identifiable real person,
Sissy!
Les's Ada was always Les in a dress.
Has I seen you at the doctor's?
Well, yes.
Is it the old trouble?
What trouble?
Woman's trouble. Last year when you said you might have to have an hysterical rectomy.
Ashy? Oh, you mean Mrs... Ashy? Well, I haven't seen her for... No, they'll be right... No. Well, I'm not surprised, you know.
I wouldn't tell another living soul this, of course. I'm approaching the change.
Approaching the change? From which direction?
What do you mean?
Well, I would have thought your batteries had run out years ago.
I'll have you know that my family has a tradition of fertility. We're a very fertile family.
The memoing, as we call it, over the garden fence, you know that. Not saying the word. I think he got that perfect, those women. I think because of working in the factories, a lot of people, tended to speak much louder than they needed to speak. And I think Les also got that very well.
You can actually have a lip read, can't you?
Yeah. When they want to know time, they'll say.
It's good. That's marvellous.
I know when we used to, Les always came weekly shopping with me. We'd go around Sainsbury's or Tesco's or whatever shop. And he'd go around and the old ladies would be going around and Les would be, the tins of peas or beans. And the ladies say, go on, Les, do that bit. And he'd go straight into the role, in the supermarket and have all the people in hysterics. He'd do 20 minutes over the frozen peas. It's wonderful.
He had that special something, did Les. Had a special thing around him. He was just, in Blackpool, he could walk around Blackpool and, hi, Les, how are you? He was as though he was one of them.
Oh, how we love Blackpool. Is it, the old gags the old days, you said about the landladies, that it was £1 extra for the cruet? Yeah. Was that true?
No, it's 6pence a day.
For the use of cruet?
Yes.
Was it really?
Yes.
And a centrepiece doily?
No. They brought in, it's 6pence a week for the cruet.
Well, of course, we've been here a week.
Well, we would have been here today, but we had a puncture at Knutsford.
I must say the hotels here are wonderful.
Oh,
the food is beyond compare. Oh, wonderful. Have you had the shish kebab?
Ever since we arrived. Well, I'm taking theatricals in now, I've had all the hallway done in anaglipta and burnt cherish. And on the wall in the dining room, near me pot mallards from Bognor, I've got this mural. The death of Lysander in Dulux. And I always say to me people who stay there, I've got 2 toilets, one upstairs and one down, but we never use the one upstairs for solids.
When they arrived, all the food was out. They lived lovely, didn't they? Oh, they did. But they got to Friday, they were on bananas. Yes. With no money.
I got a mental picture of a Cameroon baboon going.
It's true.
Les in 1990. It was on a job that I did for the BBC called Nonna, which started off being called La Nonna and then went to Nonna. And Les was playing Nonna. And he was playing a woman who ate vast amount and ate everybody else to death. So the first time I met him was at the read-through, I think. But I think we were all a bit frightened of him because he was such an experienced comedian. But I think he was probably very frightened of us as well, because we were sort of experienced actors and this was one of his first acting experiences.
Here you are, Nonna love.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's...
Is this for me? Are you thinking of giving me a dress for your wedding, Nonna? How kind of you. Here comes the bride, here comes the bride. Well, it nearly fits. You were almost a slip of a thing then, weren't you, great-grandmother? This is much more like her. All for me, is it?
Nice sweeties.
He had to be dressed up as a 100-year-old lady, and he said the awful thing, the ironic thing about it only took 3 minutes to do the makeup.
I think he was very good at eating and not eating. I remember him eating one of those salami sausages, and I thought, hell, he looks brilliant, and he hadn't eaten hardly anything of it. But it just looked like he was. But in the end, the character just ate anything like flowers. It didn't really matter at the end, really, because I don't suppose you put on a lot of weight eating petals, do you? I mean, I think that he was fantastic as Nana. I mean, we all as actors have huge respect for him. I think that he did do a really great job as playing the woman. And he was sort of gross enough as well. We were all pretty gross in that. And Les certainly competed well.
Bologna, nice. Like mucho bologna. Fish, plenty fish, bread. Todas bread.
Yeah, he experimented with things. He didn't always stay on the right track as regard entertainment. For example, well, the roly-polies puts it in a nutshell. And when he worked for him, he let you work. There was never any restrictions about doing anything. If it got a laugh, Les said keep it in.
Every act likes to have a big finish. And believe me, I've got the biggest. Ladies and gentlemen, the roly-polies!
I went onto my toes when I was about 12. And I performed on the clubs for many, many years with my husband, known as the Mighty Atom and Roy. And then Les came to me in the Central Club in Blackpool after many, many years and said, Mo, I've got this idea, I think it's great and I want you with it. But we'll make Roy redundant. And that's how it happened. So I was booked by the Beeb and then the other ladies were added, and it was a success from the word go. They always said Les had these crazy ideas. He did.
like, if I may. I have been asked by a char lady in Dorking to do this. My well-known impression of the human balloon. Thank you.
I always remember when I came into the makeup room one morning and he didn't have a shirt on. I think he just had some trousers or something on. And he just looked like a sumo wrestler. And I said that to her. I said, oh, you just look like a sumo wrestler, not thinking. And I think he was a bit taken aback and shocked at my rudeness. I think he might have thought that he was a bit slimmer than he was.
Now you. Me? Yes, please. We have a very full complement. We have to be careful of the weight ratio. Now get on. Oh, far too much. Oh, dear. Oh, no, still too much. Naughty. Now then. It's still too heavy.
I'm not having a leg off!
We were the complete opposite of each other in every way. And there was just something about working with someone completely the opposite of you that was very entertaining. And we used to make each other laugh quite a lot off too. So there was a very friendly spirit. And I just liked the whole strangeness of the experience of going up there. And a lot of the scripts were pretty good too. He and I used to put a finishing polish on them sometimes. But I remember one in particular about a Scotsman coming into a carriage with a caber. And that was always one of my favourites.
You don't mind the window open?
What's your choice?
It's going to be a long, miserable journey to Scotland, I can see that. Okay.
I might agree with you if this train were going to Scotland, but it so happens that it's going to London.
Oh, excuse me for saying this, boyo. I happen to know this train very well. I come up every day to practice with Betsy in a glen, okay?
Sorry, but I travel on this train practically every day down to London, and I've done it for years.
You're on the wrong train today, mate. Because it's the 4-4 to Forfar, and Fred Fairfax, the driver, is a personal friend of mine. Okay.
I'm sorry, old boy, but I've travelled on it far too often, and I know it frightfully well. This is the 4-4 to London.
It so happens to be the 4-4 to Forfar, 440 miles and 4 furlongs.
Look, I suspect that you're trying to get me off this train in order that you can have this compartment to yourself in this ludicrous pearl. Well, I happen to know that the train is going to London, and that is that.
And I happen to know that it's going to Scotland, and that is that. Okay.
Hello, Doctor.
Sit down, please.
Thank you very much.
Now, what's the problem?
I've got a headache.
Congratulations. When's the little fella due?
No, I said I've got a headache.
Yes, I heard what you said, my good man. I'm not blind.
You mean deaf, don't you?
Certainly not. My eyesight's perfect. 20/20.
I don't think Les needed me to bring out his surrealism. I think that was just flowing. And I think he loved it, whereas I sort of can't wait to stop work. I think Les just loved this flow of nonsense, very elegantly phrased nonsense coming out. A little bit like Peter Cook, you know, they stopped when they fell asleep.
There we are. Just take that round to the post office, and if you want to, you can take a couple every morning about 20 minutes before you wake up.
Well, thank you very much for your time and trouble, Doctor.
Oh, hang on. I can give you a lift if you want. I'm going your way.
That's very nice. What's the matter with your leg?
Indigestion. Terrible. Take weeks. What's the matter?
I've sprained my wrist.
He was very generous. He knew that I had to make a speech once, and he gave me a very good format for the speech. He said, just get up there and tell the audience 3 completely disconnected facts. They've got to have nothing to do with each other. And he said, then give a long pause, and then look at the audience and say, None of this has got anything to do with tonight's performance, but it does go to show how your mind wanders when you're nervous. And from then on, I used to use that when I had to address, and it always worked.
In 1642, Prince Rupert's mercenaries smashed Cromwell's left flank at Naseby. In 1871, the Franco-Prussian War took a serious turn at the Siege of Rouen. And in 1903, from the Cowls of Bute, came the first report of an outbreak of sporran rash. Now, none of this has got anything at all to do with tonight's programme. It just shows how your mind wanders when you're worried. See, this is the first time I've hosted a quiz show. And quite frankly, I feel about as comfortable as a lame turkey sat on a pile of Paxo listening to Christmas carols.
Blankety Blank, of course, was the most ridiculous vehicle for him, but he loved it. He loved it. I said, do you like it? Oh, he said, I love it. I just take the mickey out of it. And it worked. Had it not worked, it might not have been the same, but it did work. He would go to all the cast and take the mickey out of them one at a time. He would take the mickey out of the people who joined.
Honest.
I haven't got as much as you.
Play your cards right, you will have. I can remember you when you were a stuntman on Songs of Praise.
His own act, as we know, was this torrent of words. It was superb. And then he began to feel the strain of writing all this himself, and he said to David Nobbs and I, would you write a couple of those, just to take a bit of weight off? You're being paid to write for the show. And we said, we are indeed, Les, the rumour is correct. Would you write me a couple of monologues, and then I don't have to do them? And he was very kind about the results, but we knew, and he knew, it was never the same if he didn't write it.
Les had a passionate love of the English language, like no other comedian I can think of. I mean, there have been comedians who used language. I mean, Max Wall used the sound of the words and would stretch words to make them into a very special kind of music. But Les adored stringing words together and doing these long, elaborate tales, which would eventually lead up to an undercutting tagline.
Remember, he described one woman as having a face like a bag of chisels. And there's just those two words, bag and chisels, are wonderful words. And he was capable the whole time of sort of weaving. He'd start off on a little story and then he'd just start weaving it with these beautifully chosen words.
I was sat at the bottom of my garden a week ago, smoking a reflective cheroot, thinking about this and that, mostly that. I just happened to glance at the night sky, and I marvelled at the millions of stars glistening like pieces of quicksilver thrown carelessly onto black velvet. In awe, I watched the waxing moon ride across the zenith of the heavens like an amber chariot toward the ebon void of infinite space, wherein the tethered bulks of Jupiter and Mars hang forever festooned in their orbital majesty. And as I looked at all this, I thought, I must put a roof on this lavatory.
Now, words are like little paper sailboats. They're containers of meaning. So what he did, he loved being a word technician, a word engineer, as most good creative comedians are. He delighted in turning the concepts upside down, juggling with concepts, looking at the world from a different angle, from this way, from that way, turning the world upside down. So he loved words.
It's just in the north he used to have some peculiar sayings. If I dare quote this, but there was also an old farmer, he said to me, as you hear this laying up Chadcastle, he said, the coaching couples are always at it. He said, I caught a couple the other night, they were going to act like a frog up a pump. But it's descriptive.
I always hesitate to speculate about what people are like in real life, as I think in this business it's very hard to define what is real life. You could argue that somebody like Les only becomes totally real and totally alive when he's doing the act. By the same token, a writer arguably is only fully functional when he or she is writing, and so on, which is a bit fanciful, but maybe not that fanciful. I think there was a very private and quiet side to Les, and he once said to me, Yeah, because she said, Alan, you're doing the job that I want to do.
He used to say to me, I always want to be remembered as a writer. He used to get up sometimes at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning and have a thought, to write a script or a book, and he'd be in the study for 5 or 6 hours. So there was a serious side, and you'd only go in when you took coffee. So he liked to be on his own.
Les had this notion of a character called the Loner, who lived halfway up a hillside somewhere in the Yorkshire Dales, and that the man would emerge from his house, that he would never see him inside the house. He would just come out of this little house halfway up this hillside, walk down into the town, have an adventure, and then walk back again. The one who worked nicest was a piece called Dawson's Brief Encounter.
Are you married?
She went to Garlow to try and buy a piano.
There's a coincidence.
What I'm saying is, I've got entanglements.
We all have.
I'm trying to cross a ploughed field. I keep getting your trousers caught on barbed wire fences. And all the time it's getting darker.
I've noticed that.
I keep hoping for a great shaft of light to show me the way I'm going. Like that fella.
I don't think I know him.
St. Paul it was.
Oh, yes.
On the road to Damascus. We saw this bright and shining light in the sky. It made a big impression on him. He wrote a lot of letters about it. I thought I saw it once on the road to Oldham. It turned out to be the sun's reflection in somebody's cucumber frame.
One hates to overplay the Hamlet routine with comedians, but I think there was a strain of melancholy in Les which came to the surface quite regularly in the act, but which was, I think, of huge potential in drama.
What time is it?
It's closing time.
Oh, I shouldn't be here.
Same time tomorrow.
I don't think so.
All right, then. What's your name?
It doesn't matter, does it?
Suit yourself. Mine's Dawson. I don't suppose that matters either.
No, I don't suppose it does.
If any comic's basically honest, he's a lonely person, because it basically is the loneliest job in the world. It really is. The final analysis, when all the backslapping stopped, it's you and you alone against them. Simple as that.
Les was a great observer of human nature. He was a great observer of human character, and to do that, I think you do have to stand aside from the crowd and observe what's going on in the crowd.
He loved laughing himself, which is a thing I shall always remember about him. He loved laughing, and he did laugh. He laughed and laughed. If something tickled his fancy, he laughed.
Where would we be without a laugh? Here.
Actually, I could have learnt a hell of a lot more from working with Les Dawson. But I do think that those old-style comedians have a different technique of working than we do now, and it's a different form of comedy now. I'm not saying that ours is any better, because I do actually think that their style is probably funnier. People like Les, I don't think we quite breed them the same nowadays. I think the alternative side of things has ironed out all that old style. I think it was much broader humour then, and I think that we're quite frightened of broad humour. I think it's got to be all sort of a bit clever and up its own arse, really.
Artist Benevolent Fund have given me the honour of introducing you to a lady tonight, she's in the balcony, who is possibly the oldest living vaudeville performer in the country. She's never been to a royal show. She's so excited. And tonight is her birthday. Her name is Gladys Pickering, and she's 111 years old today. Let's wish her happy birthday on the piano. Right? Sorry? Oh, she's not 111, she's ill.
he was in the Opera House and he was quite poorly, and he'd done about, I think, 2 or 3 weeks of the show, and he was poorly and went into hospital, and he came out and he said, well, the doctor said, you can't possibly work until the other side of Christmas. That was the summertime. After a week, he was tearing his hair out. He said, I can't cope with this. So he wrote a book, How to Give Up Things, because the doctor said you have to give up fats, you have to give up smoking, drink. So he wrote a book which was very successful.
He loved life. He loved life, and he loved being Les Dawson, and he loved being alive, and he loved everything about life. He loved he loved drinking, he loved smoking.
What is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has none to do the things he truly feels, and not the word to one who kneels. The record shows I took the blows and did it my way.
On the 10th of June 1993, at 20 minutes to 5, my telephone rang. It was a colleague of mine from the BBC in Manchester who was working in London on the World Tonight, I think it was called, Radio 4 programme. He said, hello, Mike, it's Max. I said, hello, Max, how are you? He said, I'm fine. He said, are you in a fit state to talk about Les to me? Over the phone. I said, Les? He said, Les Dawson. I said, well, if you ring in about 45 minutes, you can speak to him yourself, because we're going out tonight with Ken Dodd. We're going to the opening night of Aspects of Love at the Opera House, Manchester. He said, you're not going with Les? I said, why? He said, he's dead. And I couldn't believe him, but I knew the man was serious, and he said, shall I ring you back? I said, you're going to have to.
I always assume all my heroes are immortal, and it's always a terrible blow to the system to discover that they're not. And so yes, it was deeply sad, because a lot of good jokes untold, a lot of good stories untold, a lot of good truth unshared.
When the going gets rough, the vicissitudes of life churn your dreams into a positive maelstrom of despair. Be not of faint heart. Remember the words of that song. Do what you believe is right, and do it your way. 2 years ago, I went through such a period of desolation. Nothing went right. I invested a lot of money in a company that made ladies' bonnets, and the government cancelled Easter. But I maintained dignity. I tried to bend frozen turkeys into the shape of boomerangs. Then I used to cross them with kangaroos. The idea was to produce a bird you could stuff from the outside. It didn't work. All I got was an omelette you couldn't throw away. And then tragedy struck. The wife's mother was brought home. She'd had an accident at work. Bit of a messy affair. Apparently a hot rivet had dropped down her drawers and she'd fell off the oil rig. Hell of a job to rescue her, because she's so fat she capsized a tanker and ruptured a diver. She'd always been a violent woman, but after the accident she went worse, until finally one night in a public house of ill repute, I saw her lying on the floor in a pool of cheap gin and Britvic. And 6 big men were kicking her and hitting her with bar stools. One of my neighbours said, are you going to help? I said, no, 6 of them should be enough.
He was he had this lovely rapport with an audience. He was able to tickle their fancies. He was able to make them think of all different concepts. He was a wonderful droll, and he was a great comedian. Oh yes.
I think he realised that you couldn't expect the world to make sense, and you would be a fool to try. But being a fool, he had to keep on trying.
Her mother had reformed. She was working again, doing stunts on the wall of death. And I sat there while the kids mugged me, and I thought, Everything's back to normal, just as it was. And at that moment in time, a new feeling came over me that I'd never experienced before. Sick. I did it my way.